Our winner, the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer, he'll receive 400 points. Second place, the Miss Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld, 300 points. And third, the Miss Renault and Milner Irvin, 225. Fourth place will go to the American Speedy Printing Special, Jack Schaefer Jr., 169. And in fifth, it'll be the Frank Kenny Toyota receiving 127 points. The Squire Shop and Tom DeHeath did not finish.
We'll be back with more action from San Diego, Mission Bay, San Diego, California, on ESPN in just a moment. These boats, but we only have two of them in competition, and only one really counts as I can see it because the specialty team has a chance to make the final.
Well, Jim, both boats here have a chance to make a final if something were to go wrong with either one of them. Specialty Leasing has 200 points, while the La Jolla Plumbing, a San Diego sponsor boat, has 113 points. So there's really only about 87 points separating these two. The winner of this heat will move into our final here later in the day. Ronnie Armstrong from Los Angeles, at Lakewood, I should say, which is part of Los Angeles, drives this Specialty Leasing boat. It's going faster here than it ever has before, over 124 miles an hour. He'll be up against a rookie, Jerry Hopp, out of Seattle, Washington, who just yesterday here qualified as an unlimited hydroplane driver. We're about 15 seconds away now from the start of this heat. Both boats are running, and here they come down to the starting line, Jim Hendricks.
Notice our clock is closing black. That's what the drivers watch when it's completely black. The side of the race, if any orange showing, they are penalized an extra lap. Here's the start. Close to the shore is Ron Armstrong of Southern California in his boat, the Specialty Leasing, qualified earlier this week at 124.309. Armstrong is a pretty good driver. Sam, as you recall, he did drive different boats. He is well respected. In fact, he drove for Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser one race in Seattle last year before Jim Kropfeld took the wheel for good at this very race 1 year ago.
That's right, Jim. And you know, as we watch Ronnie Armstrong bring the boat down the backstretch over there, I've got to say this about hydroplane racing. Something's going to have to be done at that sport's winter meetings this year. With this format, a lot of boats are sitting out this second heat of competition all the time, waiting for that chance in the Consolation race. And as a result, I think, you know, it disappoints the fans, and it disappoints us as well, because Ronnie Armstrong, all he's got to do is sit out there now and cruise for 5 laps, and he'll move into the final heat. Meanwhile, a lot of the other competitors are sitting on the trailer preparing their engines for their one more shot. But, you know, somebody like Armstrong here, who is a competitor and a sportsman, if something goes wrong with him, he's actually hurt himself because he's going to have less time to get his boat fixed for that Consolation race.
Well, that's right. But if he could just keep it together in the engine housing as he comes around the complete lap number 1 and just stab over. This is the power of the Allison turbos as he comes around. If he can keep it together, he then has a couple of hours to get ready for the final. So it's, you know, half a dozen to 1, 6 to the other. We have a couple of rookies in the field today. Jerry Hopp is out there now in second place in the La Jolla Plumbing. He qualified 102. And another fine rookie who did not make this heat, but earlier today had a fire. And before the start of the heat, he threw his burning colony into the water, which was fast. Thank you, was John Prevost from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Speaking of John, you had a chance to talk to him. Let's go to that interview, the young rookie, John Prevost, right now.
Sure does.
What about John Prevost? Your first race in an unlimited, you put a boat around the course at 125 miles an hour. What do you think about it?
Well, this is the first time I've been involved in unlimited racing. I've raced limiteds for a long time, and I had no idea this was such an exciting sport, and that's the thrill of a lifetime for me to be able to drive that boat.
What about driving it? Is there a noticeable difference from a 7-liter, which is an automotive-powered boat, up to one of these unlimiteds?
Sam, I had no idea these things were this fast. I'd heard they were fast, but I still had no idea they would come off the corner and run at high speeds like they do and handle like they do. These things are absolutely awesome.
Okay, back here to action now with just about one more lap to go. Coming down to take the green flag from Southern California, Ron Armstrong in the Specialty Leasing boat. A nice cab over. He's got one more lap to go, and he will qualify for the final. And that would be, I'll tell you, Ron Armstrong is a competitive driver, and he qualified here, Sam, as you know, at 124.3, and he will be the only finisher in this heat. We had some that did not answer the call. We had the La Jolla Plumbing with rookie Jerry Hopp that did, and he's down in the water right now. And watching the rest of the parade go by with his hands on his hip, and this is a fine young man too. Someday he's going to get some good equipment, Sam, and he's going to give him fits.
That's right. Out of Seattle, Washington, Jerry Hopp qualified yesterday. His crew jumped up and down. Everybody was very happy to see him make it as an unlimited driver. And you know, this is a very pleasant surprise watching Ron Armstrong go down the backstretch. Bob Patterson in Los Angeles, who owns the boat, has the only dynamometer that works in the sport. They've been using the dynamometer the last couple of months on their engines. They haven't had any engine problems all week here. And you know, preparation is the key to winning in racing. Armstrong's been very, very consistent. Laps in the 120s, the 115. His lap 4 speed, he cooled it down to 110 miles an hour. Everything running real well for Ron Armstrong in this boat. You know, it was built back in 1968, but it's had a lot of work done to it. It was transformed from a conventional boat where the driver sits in front of the engine to a cab over. Or I should say where a driver sits in front of the engine. The conventional, the driver is behind the engine. Here's our winner, Jim, Ronnie Armstrong in the specialty leasing from Los Angeles.
Checkered flag and the gun for Ron Armstrong, and he gets into the final on perseverance alone. So he is the only finisher of this flight. Now we'll have the hot dogs coming up, which we call the hot dogs, the top 6 boats, which gave us such a good showing here a little earlier here on our program. We'll be back with the Atlas Van Lines, the Miss Budweiser, Squire Shop, American Speedy Printing, Miss Renault, Frank Kenny Toyota, boats in the world in just a moment. Back here in Mission Bay, California, the fast flight out once again. Sam, we had a little drama unfolding just before this one. We're under the 1-minute gun.
Yes, we did. We had an explosion down in the pit area around the Atlas Van Lines. Something went wrong in the carburation department, backfired the engine, I should say, injured a crewman. However, Chip Hanauer's out there. As they come down, we're about 25 seconds away. In this heat, we have Atlas Van Lines, Miss Budweiser, Squire Shop, Miss Renault, and Frank Kenny Toyota, American Speedy Printing, not answering the starter's gun.
It looks like the Atlas Van Lines wants lane 1 with Chip Hanauer. He won this preliminary action the first time out, and Budweiser wants slot 2, followed by the Squire Shop. Also out there is Miss Renault on the far outside as they come down here. It's going to be Budweiser out in front as they cross the line in lane number 2. Budweiser, Atlas, Frank Kenny Toyota, and the Renault. And I did not see the Squire. Was he up in there in the water, or is he down? The Squire Shop is down at corner number 4, dead in the water. Sam?
Yes, he is. As they dive to that turn, it's Atlas and Budweiser side by side. Kropfeld about a half a second ahead of Chip Hanauer, but here he comes as they head down the backstretch. Jim Hendrick.
Okay, the Budweiser shakes loose first with about 2 boat lengths lead over the Atlas Van Lines in this first lap. Coming down the back chute now, Jim Kropfeld from Cincinnati leads the field in the Miss Budweiser, but the Blue Blaster of Atlas Van Lines on lane number 1 on the inside. Taking over 3rd place is, I believe, the Frank Kenny Toyota as they go down the back chute, Sam.
Jim, this could be a problem here. Atlas and Budweiser diving in there. Tom DeEath is at the exit pin in his boat. Oh, Atlas Van Lines has ate a lot of water through the Budweiser's rooster tail. Hanauer's holding it steady, though. Let's see what happens. DeEath looking back off the Squire Shop as you see Jim Kropfeld set his sights. He comes by, no incident there, but the Atlas Van Lines and Hanauer took on a heck of a lot of water down in that turn, Jim.
Okay, now to complete lap number 1. Here's the Budweiser, and he's got a good 8-second lead. Whoa, the Frank Kenny Toyota is starting to fly in 2nd place with Ron Snyder. 3rd place is the Renault. And I don't see the Atlas Van Lines coming back unless he's coming way wide, Sam.
He's up alongside of Ron Snyder and the Kenny Toyota. He got her back under control.
Can you
as
see
they
him?
dive in there, yes, I do. Here's our leader, Jimmy Kropfeld, and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. This is a points race here for the national championship. Here comes Chip Hanauer. He's moved back in 2nd place. He's about 5 or 6 seconds ahead of Kropfeld. Now remember, Kropfeld is laid off. Here comes Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines, and he's starting to pick up some ground.
Okay, let's set the field for you. Our leader is the Miss Budweiser, now going down to the north turn, corner number 3, followed about 10 seconds back by the Atlas Van Lines, who has about a 3.5-second lead over the Renault.
Jim, as they go in that turn, Kropfeld, the Budweiser slowed way, way down. I think the Budweiser's lost an engine in there, Jim. He's going back to the pits. This is going to make a heck of a race for the national championship. Hanauer's your new leader. Kropfeld's returned the Budweiser to the pits. Here comes Chip Hanauer. What drama this is here today. He's in 1st place right now on the Atlas Van Lines. 2nd place, Frank Kenny Toyota, and 3rd, the Miss Renault. Hanauer's your leader, and watch the crowd wave as he comes by. Let's start line here on lap number 3.
Oh, what a change of events, and what a difference a heat makes. 1st place, Atlas Van Lines. 2nd place, Frank Kenny Toyota. 3rd is Renault. The Squire Shop with Tommy Deeth down in the water. The Budweiser has returned to the pits. Something must have let loose because usually he'd give it a try, but he went right to the pits. What will we figure now, not only toward the national championship, but for the final of this race, Sam?
Well, let's talk about that national championship as we watch Hanauer go down. Entering today's race, he was 769 points behind the Miss Budweiser. So far, if he holds together here, he will have picked up 500 points towards that national crown and cut Crumpell's lead to 269 points with the rest of this race and another race to go. We've got a heck of a battle going on back there right now as we see Hanauer come through. Ron Snyder in the Frank Kenny Toyota, Milner Irvin in the Miss Renault. They're really dueling back there. Snyder's got everything going in that boat. 2 turbocharged Allison engines side by side. Here's Hanauer, our leader in the Atlas van line.
Coming down to complete lap number 3. 2 more laps to go for Chip Hanauer from Seattle. In Fran Muncie and Jim Lascelles, Blue Blaster, the Atlas van lines. And here's the battle for second and third. Frank Kenny Toyota, the boat owned by the city of Madison, Indiana. Ron Snyder from Piqua, Ohio, the driver. And Milner Irwin coming up very fast to challenge now as they go down to corner number 1 for the 4th time. They are on the 4th lap. They've completed 3. How about the speeds?
Okay, Chip Hanauer running a very good race right now. 125.174 miles an hour on that last lap in the Atlas van lines. Meanwhile, back in second place, as we watch Hanauer go along, Milner Irvin of the Miss Renault is beginning to make a challenge on the Frank Kenny Toyota. There you see it. That's the distance, Jim, in hydroplane racing. That rooster tail was about a second away. 1 football field, and here comes Renault pulling alongside. It's Renault and Toyota heading down into that turn. Renault on the inside, Frank Kenny Toyota on the outside. The advantage should be to Milner Irvin and Miss Renault. Whoa! They're both way up in the air, Jim. We saw the bottom of both boats as they went down there. Irvin got out of it. Snyder on the outside. Hanauer's going to come by here, take the green flag, but we've got a boat race going here, Jim.
All right, our first place boat now is the Atlas van line. Takes the green flag. And he has 1 more lap to go as we'll pick up the fight for second between the Frank Kenny Toyota. And that's the boat right now, currently in second place. Renault is in third place, and he's backed off a little bit, Sam.
He slowed way, way down. I think it got just a little bit hairy in that turn for Milner Irvin and Ron Snyder. That boat went about 6 or 7 feet out of the water. He's bringing it along here. The Miss Renault, a beautiful boat, qualified at 129.5 miles an hour. Milner Irvin from Coral Gables, Florida, the driver. What he's going to do now is try to nurse it across the line for the finish. We're going back to the Atlas. His speed on lap number 4, faster, Jim, 129.496. Record speeds here in San Diego today. Their first heat of action. Atlas set a new course record, averaging speed 128 miles an hour for the 12.5-mile heat. So, you know, very fortunate down in that Atlas camp. The accident, the explosion fixed the boat, came out here. We don't know what went wrong with the Miss Budweiser, but that's going to make a very interesting final because that point spread is just a second place finish away for a new leader at National High Points.
All right, our leader now comes down to complete lap number 5. Take the checker flag for victory. The Atlas van lines with Chip Hanauer for the second straight time today. He has picked up 800 total points, 400 points for that finish there, 400 for the first time out. And as you said, Sam, he's whittled Budweiser's national high point lead from 769 down to 269. 400 points possible to get more in the final heat. And this is the 9th race. This boat right here.
Oh, no. Ron Snyder in the Kenny Toyota is that far away from the finish line. Here comes the Renault. He's back in. So that cat and mouse, the last lap, had Renault slowing down. And as they come down for the starting line here for the checkered flag, Snyder's gone dead on the final straightaway. And that's got to be a lot of misfortune. Let's watch now. Irvin's going to go way, way wide as we see here to make sure he doesn't bother Snyder. Oh, no. The Miss Renault slowing down, Jim. This could be a slow motion drag race, if you pardon the pun.
He got wet that time when he was challenging for second at corner number 3 in the north turn, and he's taken a lot of water on. He's just nursing it. He's still on a plane, so he will get the checker flag and take third.
And here comes Snyder, Jim. Look at this. The Kenny Toyota is trying to get going. This could be the slowest drag race we've ever had in hydroplane history as they both try to get their boats and nurse them across the finish line for those crucial points for national high points. Here you see the Kenny Toyota. Here you see the Miss Renault. They're both trying to get going. Irvin's nursing it. Snyder's nursing his boat. They're really about 50 yards apart as they come down here. This is bizarre. It never happened before. Listen to the crowd. They're cheering, ranting, raving. Milner Irvin's going to nurse it across. Ron Snyder's gone back down in the Kenny Toyota, and the fans here love it. Everyone giving an ovation to Milner Irvin and the Miss Renault as he angles it across the finish line here to pick up second place in this heat.
And looking up there at the smile on the referee, Lee Shannon's face, because he was going to give him a black flag, but he stayed on plane enough to finish for the Renault team and qualify for the final. And if the Frank Kenny Toyota does not finish, American Speedy Printing automatically goes in the final because that'll be no points for that boat. Let's give the final order finish, Sam. Action on ESPN here in San Diego, and the lineup for this, the Consolation.
Okay, Jim, the winner goes into the final. We've got the Miss Houston, John Prevost out of New Orleans driving, Rick Gunite Chevy, Terry Turner, the Executone, George Johnson, La Jolla Plumbing, Jerry Hopp not getting started. Also out there we have the Frank Kenny Toyota, Ron Snyder, and the Squire Shop, Tom DeEath. The winner of this race moves into the final race here on ESPN. We've got about 10 seconds, and they're looking to be just a little bit early, Jim.
Okay, this is the Bill Muncie Memorial Trophy races. They come down here with 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark! Looks like they're all on the money. As they go down, there was the Rick Gunite and the Frank Kenny Toyota almost side by side. Going down into corner number 1, all the Rooster Tails looks like Niagara Falls as we follow the boats. The first one to stick the nose out, I believe, is the Frank Kenny Toyota. Squire Shop on the outside.
Tommy Dees coming out there. Bob Stiles put out of Seattle, Washington. Ron Snyder in the the Frank Kenny Toyota is on his hip. Terry Turner's in third. Here comes a drag race, Jim. Toyota and Squire Shop down the backstretch.
And it's going to be Squire Shop on the inside. And hidden in that rooster tail is Frank Kenny Toyota. The Rick Gunite is third place as they come down the back chute for lap number 1. Only the winner will advance to the final. This is their last chance to get for the money here in the San Diego Thunderboat Mission Bay Regatta. Hanging down the hook at corners number 3 and 4 is the Squire Shop with Tom Deeth from Fairhaven, Michigan. The boat is out of Seattle, owned by Bob Style. He goes way wide. Whoa, he took that boat wide from the lane number 1 out to lane number 4. And he'll take the rest of the field with him as Tom Deeth comes down now to complete lap number 1 in Bob Styles' Squire Shop. Here comes the second place boat right on his hip. Frank Kenny Toyota is going to be moving into the picture as he comes up for second place right now.
You know, as DeEath goes in there in the Squire Shop, Jim, that was a very smart move. The sign of a veteran because he made Mr. Snyder go out further. That's legal to do in hydroplane racing. He has him on his hip, and that's just about where you want him. Isn't that right, Jim?
That is exactly right. The Squire Shop has had some troubles. Oh, the Squire Shop slowing down again. I know no student said the Squire Shop has had troubles today. They're slowing down.
He's got it going again.
Yeah, but here comes Frank Kenny Toyota up the side to try to challenge right now. Now he's got it back going. He's had engine problems twice, and he's missing again as he goes down there now in first place by only, oh, look at Frank Kenny Toyota. Comes on strong on the outside. It's going to be a drag race side by side down to the number 3 pin, and let's keep him tight. Oh, Haynes on the hook now. He can't move out now. He's going to be pinned right in there. Snyder's got him pinned right in. He can't go wide this time. With Snyder right there, he's going to force him to take it tight. Here they come, both the boats, almost side by side to come down to complete lap number 2. And the Squire Shop is slowing down again. Here comes Frank Kenny Toyota, owned by Madison, Indiana. He takes about an 8-boat length lead now at the completion of lap number 2. Now the Squire Shop's got it going again. Oh, Tommy Deeth has got problems again. He had 2 did not finishes in the first 2 heats. Third place, Rick Gunite, but now our leader right there. Here's our third place boat. There he goes. Fourth place just there on the outside, blue and white, is Executone with George Johnson.
Okay, Snyder's going to bring it around there, Jim. The Frank Kenny boy. DeEath seems to have the Squire back under control as he comes out of the turn, but Snyder's got about a 3.5-second lead over the Squire Shop and DeEath right now as he goes down the backstretch. Both of these boats were among the fastest qualifiers here. They had their share of problems in the elimination heat, but only one of them moves to our winner-take-all final heat here this afternoon.
And Tommy Deeth is back in the driver's seat after missing all of this season. Makes his first appearance in race number 9. Sam Cole had a chance to talk to him after qualifying yesterday.
Tom, in a way, you're playing a game of catch-up out there. Everybody's got 9 races under their belt. However, you come out here and turn the fastest lap of the year for the boat you're in. Is it going to be back up there again?
Well, Jerry and the crew have been working really hard on the boat. We've changed everything but the paint on it really since I've got here. I've been out several times both days, and we finally got it up to where it's competitive and it's consistently running high 128s, low 130s. So we're satisfied.
What about Tom Deeth? You've had 9 races off from the cockpit of this boat. You're back in it. You ran faster here than you ran all last year. Is the boat better?
Oh, it's a little bit better now, I'm sure, than it was last year because Jerry did some changes to the bottom. Where it's improved is down the straightaway. You can go faster with it down the chute. I'm still not really warmed up to it yet. It's going to take me a few heats to, get married into the thing real good.
All right, back here now, Tommy DeHeath, that interview with Tommy DeHeath now, and we just got done talking to him, Sam. It looks like he may take over.
And Ron Schneider slowed down the last lap. He had passed DeHeath. Here comes DeHeath around the outside. If he keeps his boat leading, oh, what a frustrating day for Ron Schneider in the Frank Kennedy Toyota. But on the other side of the coin, DeHeath has got to be very, very happy right now because all he's got to do is nurse that boat around here with his half a lap to be in the final heat. These boats are running about 112, 113 miles an hour here in this Consolation race. A very competitive day. As you see Tom DeHeath in Bob Style Squire Shop dive into that turn. He'll take it around here through turns 3 and 4 and bring it on down for the checkered flag in his first final heat appearance this year.
Frank Kennedy Toyota, owned by the city of Madison, Indiana, driven by Pickwas Ron Schneider, had it all together to get into the final with 3/4 of a lap to go. Something's let go, and Tommy D making his first appearance of the year in Bob Style Square Shop. Now comes down the straightaway. The checker flag is waiting, and he'll enter the final by virtue of his win here in the Bill Muncie Memorial Trophy race as part of the San Diego Thunderboat Regatta.
And his last lap there, 114.214 miles an hour. DeHeath will win it. George Johnson, Executone, will take a second. Rick Gunite, Terry Turner third, and the Frank Kennedy Toyota will not finish.
After the qualifying closed yesterday, early evening, we had a chance to mosey over and visit with the newest members of the Unlimited Thunderboat Racing Camp. Well, down here in the pit area, looking at this car, I know this car is a Renault. I've seen it on the road many times. In fact, I've seen the Renault Formula car. But have you ever heard of a boat, an Unlimited called the Renault? Well, the Thunderboats have entered a new era because the Renault team is here. This is Jerry Shaineth, former Unlimited driver. His family's been in powerboat racing for over 25 years. And Jerry, you put this team together. How did you interest the Renault people in sponsorships?
Well, a year before we actually signed a contract, I brought the head people down from the marketing group at American Motors in Renault and showed them the race course in Detroit, showed them how the Miss Budweiser, the Atlas Van Lines, and the other boats market their items, and they were very, very pleased and quite surprised to see the crowds and the bannerizing and the television and radio and newspaper coverage. So then I sat down about 6 months after and said, we could get the name Renault around the United States really in a unique way. And they said, what? And I said, Renault on a boat. And they said, Renault on a boat? I said, Sea Ray on an Indianapolis car. And they said, hey, why don't we try something this year? And so far, they are thoroughly delighted with not only the impressions that we get throughout the United States, but also proving the technology that they have put in their cars and in their Formula One cars into our boat and the uniqueness of some of the new parts of our boat.
Speaking of new parts of the boat, this particular boat has a horizontal stabilizer that's very, very low to the hull and transom, not unlike the big wings on some of the other boats. And this man, Milner Irwin, the driver from Coral Gables, Florida, has to handle that boat. And speaking of handling, how does it handle?
Jim, it handles very well. It's a very light boat, as you know, and I think the lightweight is a definite advantage. The wing itself, in the position it is, being low, we haven't proved whether it's an asset or not. I think, in my personal opinion, next year we'll probably raise it up and be more like the Atlas or the Budweiser.
It takes time to dial the new boat in and get the crew, everybody kind of working as a team.
It sure does, Jim. We continue to improve each race, and it's just a constant battle to take a new boat and make it run very well.
Big sponsors, of course, dominated in unlimited hydroplane racing like Anheuser-Busch, Atlas Van Lines, American Speedy Printing, just to name a few. And the Renault team is here. The driver, Milner Irwin, the owner, Jerry Shaineth, and, of course, the Renault racing team. We hope they stick around for some time to come. Now, Sam, let's go back up to you.
Jim Hendrick and the Miss Renault team recorded yesterday here on Mission Bay. The finalists here this afternoon, the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer, the Miss Renault, Milner Irvin, the Miss Budweiser and Jim Kropfeld, American Speedy Printing and Jack Schaefer, the Specialty Leasing and Ron Armstrong, and the Squire Shop and Tom DeHeath.
About a minute and 30 seconds to go before this, the run for all the marbles on this saltwater 2.5-mile oval in San Diego, California. And there's the man who's been tearing it up today, Chip Hanauer, the Atlas Van Lines, and the rest of the challengers. Well, here's Sam Cole. Sam?
Jim, we've got the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer, as you said. This Budweiser right on his heels. Jim Krapfeld, the driver. The Squire Shop and Tommy DeEath out of Detroit, Michigan. American Speedy Printing, Jack Schaefer Jr. The Specialty Leasing out of Los Angeles, California, Ron Armstrong, the driver, and the Miss Renault, Milner Irvin.
That sun is going to play havoc now with our boats because the sun is setting down the west, and we're looking almost into a westerly, about a southwesterly sun. And we'll have to watch very carefully. We can see that weird water intake throws up that special kind of side rooster tail off the skid fin of the Atlas, so we'll have to watch that. It looks like Atlas Van Lines wants lane 1. Lane 2 looks like it will be the Miss Budweiser, followed by the American Speedy Printing, the Specialty, and the Squire Shop, and the Speedy Printing. As they come down right now, there's our final field heading for the starting gun. It looks like it's going to be the Atlas Van Lines, also the Specialty, and the Squire Shop as they come across that line and dive down the corner number 1. Whoa! Ron Armstrong is flying.
Tommy DeEath and the Squire Shop's on the outside, Jim, as they go down there. What a surprise. Armstrong and DeEath leading him into that turn. But here comes Mr. Hanauer out in the lead with Krapfeld on his hip.
It's going to be Chip Hanauer coming off of corner number 2 down the back chute right now. The hills of San Diego, California in the background as the sun slowly sets in the west. There's our leader flying just a little bit. He's loose on that front end, Sam, but he's got about a 4.5 second, maybe a 4-second lead over the second place Budweiser at this point as they go down the corner number 3 in the pit area.
And Jim, as he dives in there, I don't know where this horsepower is coming from in the Atlas right now because he left everybody sitting still back up in that other turn. Hanauer, you see, takes the Atlas through there. Krapfeld, the Miss Budweiser, a good 6 or 7 seconds behind as they go through there. Here comes our leader, Hanauer, bringing it around the turn and heading down. There you see the Miss Budweiser back behind him there. That's about a 5-second lead for Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines. He brings it across the line here to complete lap number 1.
There's our leader with 4 more laps to go as he goes down the corner number 1 again, followed by the Budweiser. Whoa, the Squire Shop went way up in the air. Tommy DeEath lost sight of that water from that front cockpit, I am sure. So it stands as the Atlas Van Lines, the Budweiser, the Squire, the American Speedy Printing, the Specialty, and also the Renault.
And as Hanauer brings it down there, Jim, he set a new course record for competition on that first lap. 133.73 miles an hour for Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines as you're seeing them going behind the island here on this beautiful 2.5-mile Mission Bay course. The old record was set in 1981 by Dean Chenoweth, and the Miss Budweiser, his speed 132.531. Hanauer, a new course record here, leaving everyone in his wake. Here's Krapfeld, the Budweiser. He's heading into that turn as Hanauer brings it out of there. But Jim Krapfeld, you know, Jim's got to be trying to keep it alive because the national championship race has got very tight. Hanauer's gained some ground here this afternoon.
Here comes the Atlas Van Lines, and he'll complete lap number 2 with 3 more laps to go. And if he can keep it going in the engine housing and stay ahead of the Budweiser, he will have gained within 169 points of the national championship with 1 more race to go. If he can hold this position, he's gained 600 points, chasing the leader, Sam.
Yes, he has. Hanauer's speed on that lap, 130.814. He's cooled it off a mile an hour or so, but he's still out in front. He brings it down now. He's going to put a lap right there on the Miss Renault and Milner Irvin, having some engine problems, but nonetheless, they put in a remarkable showing here this afternoon. Hanauer and the Atlas blinding us by the sun as he goes behind the island down there. Chip Hanauer, who won this race a year ago right here in Mission Bay. Should he hold on to win here, it would be his 3rd win of the season in the Atlas Van Lines boat and for the Atlas Van Lines Company here on Bill Muncie's home race course.
Stay with us on ESPN because the cameramen have really got their work cut out for them. They have to take a shot into a blinding sun down that back chute into corner number 3, and we'll lose them periodically, but that's all that can be done. Mother Nature. Here it comes, complete lap number 3. 2 more laps to go. Atlas Van Lines, the hometown boat, with Chip Hanauer from Seattle trying to hang on to win his 4th race of the 1983 campaign and pull within 169 points of Jim Krapfeld and Bernie Little Smith Budweiser with 1 more race to go. That at Houston, Texas, the Budweiser World Cup in October.
Hanauer speed there, 131.965. He's put his foot back into it. Here's Milner Irvin in the Miss Renault. There you see Jack Schaefer, the American Speedy, running behind him.
He's lost his
his whole wing section, Jim. And as he goes by here, it's flapping up and down. He's lost the wing section of that boat. I don't know what's going to happen here because that will affect the aerodynamic stability of an unlimited hydroplane.
Yeah, and he's slowing down now, Sam, as he's back in the corner number 1 as our leader comes down the back chute, and he'll come around and take the green flag. When he does, it'll be, whoop, 1 more second to go. 1 more lap to go, rather. And right now, he bounces through some slop, and I saw that left spots and raise up and saw the bottom of the boat. But now he's in the apex of corners number 3 and 4, coming out of the sunlight, heading down here as the green flag is waiting. Whoa, he's still flying light, Sam. Still flying light and really going. Here's the green flag along with the yellow flag. The yellow flag is because of the American Speedy printing down in corner number 1, sitting dead in the water. There's our second place boat, this Budweiser, with about 5 seconds behind.
Jim, and his Hanauer's on his final lap. Let's remind the viewers at home, as they see the shots across the race course, this blinding sun. Remember, that's affecting these gentlemen on the race course because they are driving into that sun at speeds of 165 and 170 miles an hour. Hanauer up to speed on that lap, 132.159. Here's our third place boat, Tom DeEef, in the Squire shop. He returns to the seat of that cockpit and putting in a remarkable performance here today in third place aboard Bob Stiles' boat. As I said, Hanauer up to speed, back up to 132.1 on that lap, and here he goes into the turn, Jim.
He goes into the turn with the checker flag waiting. He has less than half a lap to go. He'll pull within 169 points for the National High Point Championship with 1 race to go. It's going to be the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer. Coming out of corner number 4, the Rooster Tail rises, riding beautifully. The checker flag is waiting. As he comes in, he waves and takes the checker flag, and a victory for the Atlas Van Lines. Second place will have to go to Budweiser. Third place to Squire. Here's your second place boat, Budweiser. Overall, the San Diego Regatta here.
There you see the checkered flag. Hanauer's speed on his last lap, 129.683. What a barn burner it was. His average speed, Jim, a new record here in San Diego. He waves his arm triumphantly in the air. His average speed, 131.540 miles an hour, eclipsing the old mark set by Bill Muncie in the Atlas Van Lines in 1980. His heat record speed was 126.796.
Here comes the third place finish for Tommy D, Fairhaven, Michigan, in Bob Stiles' Squire. All right, the final order finish, Sam, if you will.
Our winner will be Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines. Second place, the Miss Budweiser and Jeff Kropfeld. In third, it'll be Tom DeEef and the Squire shop. In fourth, it'll be Ron Armstrong, as you see him here in the specialty leasing. Fifth place will go to the Miss Renault and Milner Irvin. As you see Armstrong, he's lost a turbocharger. Nothing to worry about there. The race is over. He just finished to take his fourth. And in sixth, it'll be Jack Schaefer and the American Speedy Printing.
And we'll have an interview with the winning driver in just a moment. Over San Diego, which is the hometown of Fran Muncie and, of course, the late Bill Muncie. And what an amazing story they had in their racing career, which now continues under Fran. And this man right here, the driver of the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer, and a happy crew chief, Jim Harvey. Well, you've cut 600 points off the Budweiser lead for the national championship with a victory today. That gets us down to only 169 points with 1 more race to go. Houston, Texas, Budweiser World Cup.
Yeah, Jim, we did everything we wanted to do. You know, we wanted to come down here and not break and just try and stay alive, stay close to him. And we did that, thanks to Jim Harvey. And, we had an explosion before that second heat. We heard a crew member, and they got it in the water 12 seconds before the gun. And they're just the best in the business.
Your boat is like a bunch of, Jim Harvey, actually, you come right down to it. I've never seen a busier crew on any boat than I've seen on yours, especially this week.
Well, I made a comment last night that even though we're into our 9th race, it feels like we've raced 18 times this year, and we never stop working. It seems like there's always something we find or we have to correct, and this was no exception.
Nothing's been easy this year. It's just been difficult every stretch of the way.
Well, that's unlimited hydroplane racing, Sam.
Chip, a lot of people wondered at the start of that final heat, we were back to playing cat and mouse again. Lee Shaneth was even wondering if you guys had engine problems. What was the strategy?
Well, we were just all trying to get each other in our sights, and we just, usually the boat race is who can go the fastest, but for about 3 minutes there, it was who could go the slowest. And, I think what we were trying to do is load each other up, that we just had to keep the engines clear, and it worked out.
It was a lot of fun. You know, Jim, one quick question for you. I've seen a lot of patches and a lot of things in hydroplane racing. Why don't you tell us about 100%?
Well, this morning Chip gave me this sticker, and everybody was kidding me. They thought it was 100 proof, but it really was 100%. And every one of my team members will be wearing one tonight because they gave more than 100%.
Well, that'll wrap it up. Jim Harvey, the crew chief. The driver, of course, Chip Hanauer. On behalf of Sam Cole, Jim Hendrick, so long from San Diego.